Hello, we are team number 1 and this is our biology analysis activity. The team members are Frida Alemán, Andrea Martinez, Javier Barrios, Julián Iracheta, and Gala Martinez.
When talking about fields of study and branches of biology, we need to know that biology is the study of life. And the branches that are part of this are anatomy, anthropology, botany, embryology, biomedicine, biochemistry, virology, immunology, cytology, genetics, histology, and zoology. There are different theories about how life started in the planet, but the two most common theories are the primordial soup theory, which states that life began in a pond or an ocean which was filled with amino acids that would evolve into the first species. And the second one, which is panspermia, which states that life originated from microorganisms or asteroids.
There are 8 characteristics of living things. The first one is organization, which states the complexity of how everything is arranged in living things. The second one is genetic code, which is a sequence of nitrogenous bases, which are 22 amino acids, which is contained in DNA. The third one is the response to stimuli. It is the perception or response to external and internal environment, such as light, temperature, and sound. The fourth one is homeostasis, which is the self-regulation phenomena, which consists of maintaining balance despite change in the environment. The fifth one is metabolism, which is obtaining and using energy through catabolic and anabolic processes with molecules. Catabolic meaning destruction of molecules and anabolic meaning formation of molecules. These anabolic processes use energy obtained from catabolic processes, which by destroying molecules, they release energy into chemical bonds. The sixth one is growth, which is this increase in volume and the incorporation of new biomolecules. The seventh one is adaptation and evolution, which states that species must evolve in order to survive and not get extinct. Natural selection takes place. The eighth one is reproduction, which is the inheritance from predecessor to successors. There are 3 types: asexual, sexual, and parasexual. Asexual is with one parent, no sperm or egg. It is very speed, and the descendant is equal to the predecessor genetically. There are 3 examples, such as budding, fragmentation, and bipartition. Sexual, on the other hand, is with 2 parents. There is a better chance of surviving, and because of the combination of the genetic material, natural selection takes place. Parasexual is the exchange of DNA, and it consists of conjugation, transduction, and transformation. The differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic are the oldest type of cell, while eukaryotic evolved from prokaryotes. Prokaryotes are small and simple, while eukaryotic cells are larger and way more complex. Prokaryotes don't have a nucleus or organelles where eukaryotes do. Prokaryotes are single-celled and have a single cellular chromosome, while eukaryotes may be single or multicellular and have multiple linear chromosomes.
The history of the microscope is that the invention of the first magnifying lens took place in the Syrian Empire in 750 BC. The magnifying capacity of these lenses was very minimal, though, and the identity of the inventor of the first compound microscope is uncertain. Nevertheless, it was created towards the end of the 16th and beginning of the 17th century. Giovanni Faber named the microscope in 1625. And historical evidence suggests that Tacarius could potentially be the creator of the first microscope, which magnified up to 3 to 9 times. Then after that, Hooke developed the Janssen microscope into what is shown in the picture, and the magnification was up to 50 times. And then Anton van Leeuwenhoek developed a new strategy to manufacture a microscope that had a magnifying capacity up to 200 times. and these microscopes weren't very popular or demanded in the scientific field as they were very flawed, but scientists began fixing them during the 18th century and perfecting them in the 19th century. Now they are one of the most significant scientific tools, especially in the medical field. The cell theory is comprised of the following postulates. 1. The cell is a morphological and structural unit of all living things, which means that all living things are made up of cells. 2. Every cell comes from a pre-existing one. 3. All vital functions occur within the cell. It is the physiological unit of life. And 4. The cell contains all of its information and passes it on to the next generations of cells. And the history of the cell is 1665, Robert Hooke introduced the concept of the cell. 1830, Theodor Schwann and Matthias Schleiden proposed what later became the first postulate of the cell theory. 1831, Robert Brown described the nucleus. 1839, Johannes Evangelista introduced the term protoplasm. 1857, Rudolf A. identified the mitochondria. 1858, Rudolf Virchow suggested that all cells come from pre-existing ones. 1931, the invention of a microscope that allowed the observation of more cellular features took place. And 1981, Lynn Margulis proposed the endosymbiotic theory, which essentially explained the origin of eukaryotic cells.
Cellular transport, everything that enters or leaves a cell has to pass through the cell membrane, which is an organelle in all cell types. The process is called cellular transport. Transport can be classified according to the amount of molecules that pass through the membrane. It can be passive or active. The cellular transport can be the active transport spends energy and goes again in concentration, while passive does not waste energy and goes in favor of concentration gradient. And this passive can be simple or facilitated. The molecules cross the lipid layer, and gases such as carbon dioxide and oxygen pass through it freely. While facilitated diffusion, the passage of molecules depends on the presence of the integral membrane proteins that allow the passage. These proteins can form channels. The mass transport is the formation of small membrane vesicles that are incorporated into or separate from the plasma, allowing cells to transfer large particles across the membrane. When the transport is massive, can be classified as endocytosis or exocytosis. The endocytosis is about the incorporation of material into the cell. And exocytosis is the secretion of the material produced by the cell.
The levels of organization are atom, and many atoms form molecules and biomolecules. A lot of molecules form organelles. These form cells. Many cells form different types of tissues. Many tissues form organs. Different organs form systems. These various systems for individuals or organisms. Many individuals form populations. Many populations of different species form communities. Many communities, along with non-living components, form ecosystems, and these ecosystems conform the biosphere.
Homeostasis. It refers to the quality of the organisms to preserve their internal conditions despite the changing conditions in its interior or exterior. The preservation of internal conditions is achieved thanks to metabolism. The balance is reached thanks to the mechanism of self-regulation that every living thing has. Preserving the balance of functions requires the participation of a series of factors. The response of this circuit can be stopped once it reaches the set point, negative feedback, or increase the answer, positive feedback. The organ systems. The circulatory system, it transports oxygen, nutrients, and other substances to the cells, is the one that is in charge to circulate the blood in the body. The lymphatic system defends the body against infections and diseases. The digestive one processes food and absorbs nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and water. The endocrine system provides communication within the body through hormones. It helps to maintain homeostasis. The muscular one provides movement support and heat production. The integumentary provides protection against injuries and loss of fluids, as well as physical defense against infections. The nervous one collects, transfers, and processes information, directs fast changes in other organ systems. The reproductive one produces gametes, sex cells, and sexual hormones. One of its goals is to produce the produce of offspring. The skeletal one supports and protects the soft tissues of the body, provides movement in joints, produces blood cells, and stores minerals. The respiratory one exchanges oxygen, carbon dioxide between blood, air, and body tissues. And the urinary one eliminates excess of water, salts, and waste products of blood and body. It controls the pH.
Health and disease. What we have to explain about health and disease in here, it's in the next slide. Which means everything in our body is regulated by mechanisms that allow us to maintain homeostasis and therefore our health. So what we can refer as to what is disease, it's the loss of balance in health and homeostasis. Ever since a human being is born, with the passage of time, we perceive a series of changes in our bodies, such as emotions and social needs. We have tried to define and classify those changes in order to face them and give them an answer in our daily lives. The definitions and classifications have changed throughout the history of humanity and also depends on the prevalent culture. We're going to explain with the previous slide. No, I'm back. The different types of health and diseases different societies had. The Greeks defined health as a natural disposition and disease as a natural condition. They used this phrase as to describe healthy mind is in a healthy body. Catholics, they said that health is a gift of God. They used to say, thanks to him, we may preserve our health. And disease was a punishment that caused by our sins. It was until the time of Hippocrates in the 5th century BC, which was when the thinking of health and disease managed by God started to lose validity, and more studies started to emerge. The next. Adolescent health. Adolescence is a stage that is characterized by the transition between childhood and adulthood, which implies physical, cognitive, and psychosocial changes. It occurs during the ages of 11 through 19. It is essential to recognize and address the health needs of adolescents. They need to play, the affection of their parents, high caloric foods, the security of a home, and someone who covers their needs. Healthy lifestyle. Scientists have studied health enough to affirm that the most significant factor in its maintenance or the onset of the disease is the lifestyle. Lifestyles are related to social and cultural behaviors, pertain to diverse groups, including social classes and national groups. There are several behaviors that helps you achieve and live a healthy lifestyle, such as having breakfast every day and more. Other behaviors to help you have a good lifestyle contain sleeping, that you have to sleep between 7 and 8 hours a day. Eating, you have to perform and eat 3 meals per day. Weight, maintain body weight within acceptable limits. Physical activity, which is practice of physical activity or sport regularly. Addictions, do not consume or moderate the consumption of any drugs or alcohol. And no smoking, because smoking may damage your internal organs, including the lungs. Thank you.